Okay, is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you, Maria, so much for that wonderful introduction. Again, my name is Kyrra Miller, and I'm from Creighton University, and I completed my occupational therapy doctoral capstone experience at Walnut Hills. My focus was sensory integration needs of school-aged children during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the purpose of this presentation is to give just an overview of my focus areas, the different activities that I participated in, and the resources that I created. So just a little bit of a background. Sensory input is necessary to function within everyday life, and it makes it possible for people to interact with their environments. The brain organizes incoming sensory information from the environment so people can accurately respond and make changes as necessary. And the environment where a child's learning occurs can greatly impact a child's ability to effectively process sensory input. However, COVID-19 has caused unprecedented challenges to children across the nation, especially children with identified special needs. Currently, the impact of COVID-19 is unknown for children with disabilities, their teachers, therapists, parents, and families. The environments in which children with disabilities interact, learn, and grow may also be impacted by changes caused by COVID-19, and this can greatly impact a child's ability to effectively process sensory input and impact their ability to participate in everyday occupations. So there were three main focus areas that I completed during my capstone experience. The first was to develop online resources, trainings, and programs for teachers, children, families, therapists, and community partners affected by COVID-19. The second was to develop a grant proposal to implement sensory-based playgrounds for children learning in person. And the third was to participate in transdisciplinary practices at the preschool level to meet the needs of children with disabilities. So again, the first focus area was the sensory integration resources. To start off this process, I researched the effects of COVID-19 remote learning on children, caregivers, teachers, and occupational therapists. And I also looked at current online resources that have been developed in the light of remote learning caused by COVID-19. Results from the literature indicate that for teachers, COVID-19 has had an adverse impact on teaching basic concepts, negative impacts on emotional and mental development of students, decreased teacher and student interactions, difficulty using technology devices, and decreased communication. For parents, some have felt that there has been a lack of resources from schools, decreased communication, reduced motivation of their children, and parents themselves have reported feeling powerless, helpless, and ignored during this time. For students, especially children with disabilities, their routines have been disrupted, their support networks have decreased, and their overall learning has been negatively impacted. It has also been very difficult for occupational therapists working in schools to fully address all sensory integration needs of students through distant learning due to the hands-on nature of the profession. However, a positive that came from this research is that at least two websites, the COVID-19 Classroom and One Stop Learning, have been developed to provide updates on COVID-19, provide coping strategies, and provide different online learning tools for these individuals to access. Another activity that I completed in this area of focus was I attended continuing education courses in order to develop an in-depth knowledge of sensory integration within the school system. The main information I learned was how to effectively utilize self-regulation and sensory processing to better allow for purposeful interactions in the environments a child participates in. An additional project that I took on during this rotation was to collaborate with a speech-language pathologist from Integrated Speech and Behavior, a community partner of Cherry Creek School District, to develop a sensory integration staff training for them. As part of this training, I collected and consolidated information on the sensory systems and the types of sensory disorders. I created a handout with information about appropriate replacement activities based on the sensory systems. And I collaboratively developed a decision-making tree for the staff to utilize when making decisions about how to program a client's communication device, and also created case studies in order to practice the decision-making tree with. The training is scheduled to take place in June 2021, and I will continue to assist in the finalization of the training. And if the training is well received, they are willing to give this training to staff at Cherry Creek as well. The final outcome of this area of focus was I developed and published 2 online occupational therapy and sensory integration resources for children, caregivers, teachers, and healthcare professionals to access. The first one is the preschool occupational therapy room. You can see a picture of it on the top right of the screen. This online resource utilizes Google Slides to present activities and information on fine motor skills, gross motor skills, visual motor skills, activities of daily living, sensory integration, and COVID-19 information in an interactive and preschool appropriate age manner. The second is the sensory integration website, and is an online resource that provides information on the different sensory systems, provides information regarding sensory processing disorders, and provides a variety of activities to target each of the sensory systems in a simplified format. So far, I have received constructive and very positive feedback regarding both of the online resources that I have created. The second area of focus was to demonstrate in-depth knowledge in developing grant proposals to develop and implement sensory-based areas or playgrounds within a school. Again, I started the process by researching the best practices to provide inclusive play opportunities on playgrounds and use this research to develop a literature review. Several research results have indicated that there are numerous barriers for children with disabilities to access and actively participate in playground play. Many playgrounds and communities, and even in some schools, do not provide age-appropriate equipment for younger children. Most playgrounds are built for children aged 5 to 12 years old, and there are limited safe options for children younger than 5. An example of this is the preschool playground at Walnut Hills right now. It is aged 5 to 12, and so our preschool students cannot access this playground equipment. They can only swing on the slides and run around the base of the equipment. The research also indicates that various types of equipment are not functional for children with disabilities, as they cannot access the equipment without assistance, or there are no alternative equipment options to engage with. Social barriers, such as fear of teasing due to lack of accessibility, can also limit a child's ability to actively participate in playground play. Another activity that I participated in was I attended continuing education courses regarding the best practice for promoting outdoor play experiences for children. I learned how to incorporate plants and gardening into everyday play and exploration, and I learned how to create a natural outdoor learning environment using best practice indicators, such as arranging the play area in a loop or a circular fashion, incorporate shady structures, and utilize a variety of natural and loose materials for children to play with. The whole main purpose of this focus was to develop a grant proposal for a new playground for Walnut Hills. So I participated in numerous team meetings in order to develop a grant proposal. Again, as I previously stated, the current playground structure is not preschool age appropriate. They can only access the swings. They run around the base of the structure. And many teachers bring out loose play materials such as sand toys, trucks, shovels and pails, and bikes and chalk in order to provide some play opportunities for our preschoolers. So the playground team met several times to discuss different options on how to utilize the current playground equipment if we were unable to secure funding, such as utilizing light parts of the structures, adding sensory panels along the fencing, and how to best utilize the funds from a wellness grant that Maria got in order to purchase a small climbing structure and carts to bring out more loose play materials. Throughout the process, I visited several community playgrounds and conducted research to get an idea of different areas, different area layouts, types of equipment that are available, ground surfacing options, and what equipment would be accessible and age appropriate for preschoolers in order to aid in the grant proposal writing process. A positive and very unexpected outcome of this area of focus was I helped aid in securing funds for a new preschool playground. Maria and I met with a representative from Cherry Creek District Facilities, and he gave us an idea of how much funding we would actually need for a new playground and where to potentially look for funding. He did inform us that the city of Centennial did owe Cherry Creek District Facilities for a project completed, and he was going to investigate more. Turns out the money owed was the exact amount, maximum amount that we would need for a preschool playground, and we were able to use all of the funding in order to get a new preschool playground. So currently we are finalizing the design. We are hopefully going to be ordering the equipment in the next week. We're getting the color scheme. We're voting on that today, and hopefully the new playground will be implemented prior to the start of the 2021-2022 school year. And to finish off this process, I did still end up writing a grant proposal example and a grant proposal template that can be utilized by Cherry Creek occupational therapists who are interested in writing a grant proposal for new playground equipment. The third area of focus was to gain in-depth knowledge about transdisciplinary practice as it relates to occupational therapy at the preschool level. Again, to begin this process, I researched the benefits and challenges to utilizing a transdisciplinary model within the school setting and the impact on occupational therapists. For best practice to occur, the transdisciplinary model must consist of sharing expertise from all disciplines, trusting each other to carry out specific roles, and each member valuing and respecting the different perspectives, knowledge, and skills of the other disciplines. Some challenges to the transdisciplinary approach that need to be overcome can include professionals identifying primarily within their own disciplines, challenges in powers or hierarchies, and inconsistent communication and collaboration. In addition, occupational therapists need to advocate for the profession within the transdisciplinary team to provide the best educational experiences for children. I also was able to participate in study groups throughout the rotation to learn about how the primary service provider model could be implemented and utilized at the preschool level. Many of the professionals over the course of the rotation have raised some concerns about implementing this model, including time for collaboration, establishing trust, and possibly taking away from individual practice areas. However, many professionals are very excited about this model in order to better serve the students that they interact with. And it was really interesting to see the pros and the cons and the differences and similarities between the primary service provider model and the transdisciplinary practice model. In addition, this entire rotation, I was able to collaboratively develop and implement classroom activities for the Walnut Hills Preschool Bridge classroom, and I was able to assume my own caseload of preschool students. I was able to find and create several fine motor activities, gross motor activities, and activities to teach basic concepts based on the classroom theme of the week. I was also able to create personalized activities and classroom aids to meet the needs of specific students. I was able to implement these various activities on a week-to-week basis. And throughout this experience, I was able to creatively administer occupational therapy services, and I got to witness growth and positive change in all of the students I had the privilege of interacting with. The image that I have on the top right of the screen is an online portfolio that I created of all of the activities that I was able to implement within the preschool classroom, and I had such an amazing time getting to create these activities and implement these into the classroom. So in conclusion, what did I learn from this experience? Due to COVID-19, there are still many unknowns as to how children have been impacted by structural and environmental changes, specifically regarding how their sensory integration needs have been impacted. Regardless if a child is receiving school services in person or via a remote or online platform, sensory integration needs still need to be determined and addressed adequately. Occupational therapists working in school settings are key contributors to implementing sensory integration methods and programs into settings in which the child is learning. Teachers, special education staff, and families still need that ongoing support in order to implement these unique and specific sensory integration approaches to meet the needs of children with disabilities. With the duration of COVID-19 pandemic is still unknown and the lasting effects on children's learning and functional participation in everyday school skills is still uncertain, occupational therapists have the unique skill set, the determination, and the responsibility to address these needs in a variety of ways and can help to determine how COVID-19 has impacted the environments and the sensory needs of children with disabilities. Here are my references, and I will stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions?
I think that it's just really fascinating and amazing how much you've accomplished in a time that has, has so many limitations, and maybe being able to be, on these online platforms for all of these meetings that you've been able to hold and be participating in, this planning and just all kinds of groups. I just wondered, is this kind of being able to be online or on a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting helped you access more, group meetings this spring?
I feel like it has. I feel like I have become very more versed and a lot more technologically savvy, and I have been able to find a lot of resources on an online platform, which I think has just aided in the entire occupational therapy process. And I think moving forward, I think as a profession, I think we will use these resources even more than we were in the past before the pandemic started.
Right. I hope you stay in preschool as an OT. Oh my God.
You too. Yeah, Kyrra, my question for you, what are your plans? So I hope you take a little time off. I mean, you've been busy. You've accomplished quite a bit.
Graduation is happening in about 2 weeks. And then I'm planning to take my certification exam in June, hopefully taking July off, and then hoping to start working in August. Currently, I'm looking into working in school districts. I'm looking in Cherry Creek. I absolutely love what you guys have here and just how amazing everybody is and just how collaborative all of the teams that I've seen here. It's just absolutely incredible. And I've not seen this really in other school districts. My brother has autism, and so growing up, we had to go through the IEP process. And I remember sitting on those team meetings, and it was always just such a struggle and a fight to even get services. Granted, this was 20 years ago, but it's just such a different process now. And I just feel like you guys have such a supportive and just amazing environment here.
Well, thank you so much for what you've done for the for Walnut Hills in terms of getting them a new playground, and for creating that grant proposal template that we can consider. And where is Creighton? I haven't heard of it before. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've been in school.
It's actually in Omaha, Nebraska, but they have a distance pathway in Regis University in Denver. So I was able to do all of my lectures online, and then I was able to do all of my in-class labs actually at Regis University. But I will be going to Omaha for graduation. We're having an in-person graduation this year.
That's great.
That's wonderful.
I just wanted to second the thank you very, 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 very much for helping Walnut Hills getting a new playground. So that is a playground that has needed help for a lot of years, and I can hardly wait till next year when I'm back there and get to explore it with the kids. I keep hearing about it through Maria and Christy, and I'm just so excited and so grateful for your help.
You guys are very welcome. And after this meeting, I will send all of you the grant proposal template and the example, and then links to the online resources that I've created.
That's great, Kyrra. Do you mind if we house those in SharePoint so that people can access those in the future?
Yeah,
Great.
that is perfectly fine.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for all your hard work. When's the projected timeline for the playground?
I think we're supposed to be finalizing plans this week, and I think either this week or next week they're actually going to be ordering the equipment, and they're hoping to break ground as soon as possible. So they're really hoping to get it implemented before August and the kids come back, but there's definitely options to finish it during breaks and stuff like that this next year.
So exciting.
Kyrra, this is Jenny. Sorry, I can't have my camera on, but I'm just so impressed with everything you've done this year. And in addition to the playground, those online resources are amazing. So everybody should take the time to go through and look at those. I've been using them, and just thank you so much for creating them and sharing them with us.
Thank you.
And I would second that. One thing I love about the online resource is that you can click on like an area of need, and then there's so many different ideas and like activities you can try at home to address that area of need. So I feel like it could be something used for kids who are going to be virtual or kids who are not going to be virtual and just need ideas for home. But yeah, I was really impressed with her Google Slide savviness.
And Kyrra, I know this is targeted for preschool. I haven't looked at the resources yet. I can't wait to explore, but I'm assuming just the broader scope is people can look at these looking at for our ILC students along the developmental continuum, right? I mean, it's not isolated to preschool. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I saw, they could be used really definitely for elementary level as well. So we'll make sure that everybody has access if that's okay with Kyrra.
Yes, that is perfectly great.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing your time with this group, and it looks like people have been able to log in, and I'm excited to see your resources. We're very lucky to have you. Thank you, Maria, for all of your leadership in bringing Kyrra to us, and everybody have a wonderful day.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyrra.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
Kyrra.